Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready here.
He's taken another one and another, and Howard Foster has stopped it. Wow, that is going to be controversial.
That's a crunching right hand, and that must finish it. It must finish it.
Taylor trying to catch himself, using his jab, eats a right hand, another right hand, and he goes down. Oh my goodness!
The dream is made real. Ricky Hatton rocks the world with a truly stunning win over a modern legend. He is the champion of the world.
Yo. Raps on TV. And you're giving it a bit of a pre-production chat, yeah?
Pre-production chat.
Bloopers.
from the outset.
We're just
Exactly,
raw.
we're just rolling raw.
Just rolling raw.
So as you know, back again, a bit of Troops TV there. Back again, Raps on TV, fresh out of London, reporting, talking the best in boxing. I think it's fair to say it was a pretty big weekend, especially in the heavyweight division. I know I've been saying this year will be the year of the heavyweights. I think this month started to kind of kick that off. So obviously we're going to be talking about Wilder versus Ortiz in the agenda today. Good atmosphere down in the Madison Square Gardens. Really looking forward to breaking down that fight. Also in New York, we saw the impressive, I would have to say, for a guy I didn't rate or didn't think he would be good. We saw Dimitri Bivol stop Sullivan Barrera. First time Barrera was ever stopped. So definitely impressive. Show some great work, and we're going to dive into that fight a bit later on. Here with the host again, co-host man like Inam.
Man like man, bonjour, guten tag, hello everyone.
You speak French?
Yeah, I've been taught French by Pascal, mate.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Ça va?
Yeah, ça va. Comment ça va? He's been teaching me French. Pascal, if you're listening, do call into the show. We'd like to have you in the studio. Guys, we're also going to be covering Brook beating Rabchenko and what that means for the 154-pound division, if it means anything at all. And obviously, we have to cover Canelo being tested for Clebuntomol in the last few days. Massive topic, and we're going to discuss whether drug policy is consistent in boxing. Over to you, Mr. Kershaw.
Yeah, now that we've looked into this Clebuntomol a bit more, I'm thinking how to get a hold of some myself,
Exactly. You know? We all got stamina issues right now, right?
Yeah, that's the least of it.
So guys, join in the conversation, dial in on 01506243403, or just go to our Twitter page and send us some tweets, and we'll get you onto our show.
Definitely, but yeah, hopefully we get a few guys calling in, so be patient, stay on the line.
Also, guys, we've got Julius Fox from Ring Guy calling in from America, so do listen in to hear the views over from stateside. Perfect.
So guys, let's get straight into it. Big fight last weekend. Man like Deontay Wilder fighting King Kong Luis Ortiz. Heavyweight bout. Both guys were undefeated. Going into the fight, we all had a variety of predictions, but what I'd like to ask you is, how would you rate the fight and the fighters after watching this performance on Saturday? Open up to both of you.
I thought it was a phenomenal fight, man. I mean, the whole evening on boxing was just phenomenal. You know, edge of your seat kind of stuff.
Yep.
You know, I was very impressed with Ortiz. You know, so saying to people like Klitschko and Ortiz, man, they seem to be like from a different era. So I'm trying to say, like, that technical ability, you know,
very sound.
You know, it's very, very, very sound. You know, and you know he was winning that fight quite comfortably, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, so very impressed with Ortiz's technical ability, but that's typical Cuban.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't know this. Yeah.
Wilder, we know he's technically poor.
Yep.
You know, Ortiz, the way he's holding his stance and his positioning was really just keeping Wilder's power at bay. You know, he just couldn't get into position to let off his power shots. You know, so we know about Wilder's technical ability. What I was impressed with was Wilder's ability to just withstand the tornado that came from Ortiz. You know, he's proven he's got a chin, he's got a heart. But the only thing I was going to say is, you know, he seems to be quite small for a heavyweight, 214 pounds, right? And going forward against someone his own age, like a Joshua, I don't know how he'll hold up to something like that. But then he also showed that killer instinct, killed Ortiz when he had the chance. And he was just a phenomenal fight. You know, he's very, very reminiscent of Klitschko AJ.
Yeah,
to me,
definitely.
You know, where AJ started off well, right? Then Klitschko took over. Mid rounds, and then AJ came back and finished the fight.
Yep, one punch.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think from Wilder's point of view, obviously it's a great win, But you'd have to say, we learned about him what we wanted to know, but there wasn't anything surprising. There wasn't anything extra that you hoped for that we got to see. I mean, it was kind of like we confirmed, the chin's not. It's a bit like Joshua in the sense that, everyone was questioning his chin, saying that's the weak spot. We've seen their chins tested, and they can get hurt like anyone can at that weight, but they can withstand the pressure, and that's not something that needs to be as concerned about.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ortiz was, when you look at someone like Joshua, he handled, say, when you look at someone like Takam, he won every single round. I think that Ortiz, yes, he was impressive in there, but I think that Wilder showed that, he can't really set the traps in a way that he should be breaking down someone like Ortiz, and people would make the comparison between Ortiz and Klitschko, like they're both older, but, Klitschko was 40 years old at the top of the division, and, aside from the Fury fight, was still, he was there. He'd proven himself time and time again, whereas Ortiz had never been in a fight like that, and he caused Wilder serious problems. So,
and I think, touching on from that, so for me, I think definitely I was impressed with both of them. I think Ortiz, he showed the Ortiz from 2015, early 2016, the guy that was getting a reputation, seeing that he was very sound technically and he was knocking guys out. For me, I think which you've always known, I think it was more confirmed and highlighted that Wilder, in a sense, is a one-trick pony, in the sense that if he doesn't get to let off the right, then you're going to be able to beat him, because you 100%. Could just slow the fight down. So if you really look at what Ortiz was doing, it was more a case, in my opinion, that Wilder wasn't doing anything. So Ortiz had to win the rounds because he was the one applying the pressure. Although he wasn't always connecting, the odd time he did connect, it didn't wobble him, but Wilder wasn't doing anything.
And Ortiz, he was doing some clever stuff in there, but he wasn't doing like a Tyson Fury. He's still quite immobile.
Yes,
he's a heavy set guy for his height. He's quite immobile. And Wilder, like we said, he's not laying the traps and stuff to pick apart.
So for me, that's not something I would set, unless it's a very basic fight. And what I mean is somebody that's orthodox, probably not as skilled as Ortiz and Fury in terms of their mindset. I think you see him set traps there, and it's always going to be the right. It's never really even going to be the jab.
Yeah.
It's always going to be the right. For me, I think with Wilder, what we learned, in my opinion, I think we saw a bit of intelligence from him, and I'll say this on the basis of two things. One, when he got rocked, straight away, for me, I was watching, I was like, fuck, he's going down. But every time he seemed like he was ready to go down, he clinched. He didn't fall backwards, he clinched. And I think that's a smart sign of intelligence. Also, the second time he kind of really went for the kill, what you started to see was, as soon as he's wobbled the guy, he ran in and he starts throwing. But Ortiz kept countering, so then all of a sudden it stopped. The last time he slowed down, he walked up and began to be a bit measured. So I like to see that, because it showed he was thinking throughout the fight.
Do you think Ortiz, because of his age and because of that seventh round, he expended a lot of energy. By the 10th round, he was just complete. When you're expendable of energy, right?
Yeah.
Is at that point you're most vulnerable. A single hard shot.
I mean, he looked like he was losing hope in there. But the thing that's most impressive about Wilder, which we already knew, is his athletic abilities. He's naturally incredibly gifted, and he does carry the power all the way through the fight. Joshua carried the power through the fight, but he wasn't still moving in the same way that Wilder can. Exactly. Far more dangerous late on in the fight.
Yeah.
And we knew that he had the potential to be like that, and he was, and he showed it, and having come through tough patches.
Joshua needs that breather for between the 5th, 6th and 7th round.
And I think, you spoke about something with strength with the size. And what I will say from a weight perspective, there were quite a few times that Wilder threw Ortiz around the ring, in terms of threw him into the ropes. There was one time he came on him and he pushed him off. And so I think when you look at, that's still a 240-pound man, I think I'm not so worried about Joshua initially just being able to smother him the way he smothered Ortiz. I think it definitely makes for an interesting fight. I think, again, what we've seen is, with Wilder, we know he's technically full. But listen, for me, I will say at heavyweights, I accept it, because those are the fights where one punch changes everything. And even with Joshua, no matter what we say, if it wasn't for the uppercut, it changed things. You see what I mean? Because most people would say he was losing. I'm not comparing the fighters, but I'm just saying most people would say he's losing. But the uppercut came in, all of a sudden he pounced. So I can accept that for heavyweights. I think for me, I want to ask you guys a question. Where does Ortiz go from now?
I think, I think it's quite. I can't see him winning a world title. To be fair, I can't, because there's going to be an undisputed champion within the next two fights. It's going to be Wilder or Joshua. Let's face it. So what can he do? He could probably go on and win a minor title, maybe like a WBA regular. If he's got something like that, What would be good is if you fight, if AJ Joshua had, if they want to have this another fight before he fights Wilder, fight Ortiz. The winner of AJ and Parker fight Ortiz. I think that'd be a good fight.
It'd be a good fight, but he can't be seen to pick.
I was going to say, you can't justify that, yeah. And especially because then you're going to say, how can you fight Ortiz instead of fighting Wilder? I think for me, I would question it even more if they don't make that fight. I mean, I just want to say on Ortiz, I think he can compete. I agree with you, he probably wouldn't win a title because of what's going to happen, hopefully. But I think he can compete in the heavyweight division. I think he could beat Dillian White.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think he'd have a chance against most of the top heavyweights. But it's kind of like, he's waited for a long time to get the shot. He's had the shot now. There's a lot of speculation over his age. We don't know how old he is. He might not even want to come back now. He's had the money fight and he gave it his all. He nearly did it. It didn't quite work out, but, he's made the money now.
I mean, he used to spar with Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, exactly. So...
I mean, it does show his age. I mean, we're never going to know his age, but like I said, Klitschko, probably there's a lot of guys that could have sparred with. It doesn't mean much, but yeah, there is a lot of question marks. That much we know.
It's more, how much he wants it, really. Yeah. That's got to be the question.
Listen, guys, I know everyone wants to get their 2 pence in, so we're going to go out to our colleague from the States,
Julius Fox. Julius Fox from Ring IQ.
Hi, Julius. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Yeah, Julius, man, thank you very much for your time.
Just listening in right now.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for joining.
No problem.
Cheers.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, so Julius, obviously we know the big fight on the weekend was mainly Wilder versus Ortiz. Who did you pick before that fight, and what did you think once the fight had finished?
Well, honestly, I picked Wilder for a few reasons. I picked Wilder by way of knockout, a late knockout. And I think that this fight, what it did for me, it affirmated what I thought, that, a lot of people look at Wilder's opponents and they look at them as very opportunistic, and they question whether or not he can be that same guy at the elite level. That if you're fighting a fighter who's a very skillful fighter who comes in here with some kind of an advantage, Luis Ortiz being a slick southpaw, a very defensible and good offensive fighter as well, who has a money punch of his own. He's got the straight left hand, and it's a good left hand.
Yep.
Can Wilder still be the same guy with a guy like that? Because this is not Johan Duapis, this ain't Eric Molina, this ain't Artur Spilka. This guy has a legitimate chance to beat you. Can you operate at that level and be the same guy? And in the back of my head, I thought, and I wanted this fight for a long time, I thought Wilder can win that fight. He can win that fight because he showed. The thing about Wilder is he's not a textbook guy. He's not a fundamentally sound guy. He's not a flashy guy, but he's got good instincts. And by that, I mean, he knows what not to do. He knows that, I can play around with Stavern and I can get cute with Artur Spilka, but with this guy, I know not to mix it up with him too much. I know I can't have my way with him. And Wilder showed that by keeping distance between himself and Luis Ortiz, not falling for the traps, dragging this fight out, being cagey with the guy. Wilder has game-changing power, but he's not vulgar with it, and that's important because that could have got his ass knocked out. We saw Wilder give Luis Ortiz a lot of respect, and if you ask me, Luis Ortiz was on his way to win that fight. I don't know what the fuck those judges were scoring. I don't understand that, how they had Deontay Wilder up, but Luis Ortiz was on his way to winning that fight as far as I'm concerned. And
Agreed.
Wilder was still able to be characteristic Wilder. We didn't learn anything new as far as what kind of tools he has, so much as he showed that I can operate at this level. This shows, it gives me an insight into what the Anthony Joshua fight may look like when it goes down.
How do you think that?
It doesn't change my opinion.
How do you think that fight
What's
will
his
AJ?
opinion? What's your
Sorry,
opinion?
what's your
Go ahead.
opinion? Yeah, what's your opinion? And how do you think the AJ fight will go down, Julius?
Well, until Wilder shows that he can be defensible on the inside, until he shows that, which not even in this fight did he show that. Until he shows that he can be defensible on the inside and still be offensive at the same time. That's saying that we've seen this from Anthony Joshua on multiple occasions. We saw it in the Dillian White fight. We saw it in the Klitschko fight that, he can fight on the inside and be defensible. When he landed that uppercut that was on the inside. He was negating shots from Vladimir Klitschko when he landed that uppercut. That was, I'm pretty sure that was a counter uppercut he landed, and he was able to change the entire trajectory of the fight. You understand that? Once that uppercut landed, you knew it was over. You look at the Takam fight. He could have fought Takam. He could have used his height against Takam, but he fought him in close proximity on the inside. He landed very compact and defensible hooks. That's saying that the quality of Anthony Joshua's offense on the inside is that much better than Wilder's. Wilder's is much more uncoordinated. There is much more room to get caught between the punches. That is his Achilles heel, and that's where I think he's going to lose the fight. Anthony Joshua, those guys, McCracken, all those guys, they know how to beat this guy. And there's an illusion that Anthony Joshua doesn't want this fight. When I look at this as a very winnable fight for him, until Wilder shows that he can be defensible on the inside. We know Wilder wants to keep you at the end of the jab. We know he wants to fight this fight on the outside because he's a long-rangey guy. But it just so happens Anthony Joshua could fight you there too if that's what you want to do. He can fight you on the outside. He can fight you mid-range. And he's actually better than you on the inside. I think that when that fight goes down, they're going to opt to bring the fight to Wilder. They're not going to lay off of the guy because they know that that's where they can nail him.
Yeah,
that's where they can nail him, and they know that unless Anthony Joshua gets all his stamina issues in order before that time, they'll know that you guys are on a clock. You guys can't afford to let this fight go into the later rounds. If you're going to get this guy, you're going to have to get him quick.
Yeah,
because
totally
Wilder, he's got a good gas tank. He's got a very good gas tank. I think Anthony Joshua's stamina will be sapped if it goes into the later rounds, and then Wilder can finish him. But that's not what I see happening. Anthony Joshua is a lot more poised than Deontay Wilder. I mean, in every fight, it's more and more apparent that this guy knows what he's doing. He's not just throwing punches to be throwing punches, and he's not in this fight trying to figure the guy out. He already figured the guy out, and he's sticking to the plan, whereas Wilder has to improvise. He may not know what to do. The opening, honestly, I can't wait for that fight because I do think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Yeah. I don't want to denigrate Wilder's victory in any way. I don't want to belittle it. But we didn't learn anything new about Wilder so much as, okay, you can operate at this level. That's very good. But that doesn't mean you beat Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, Julius. I think me personally, I just felt that I learned that he has got a heart, and he has got a chin. He won't just give up. He has got that dog in him, and he will take it to the last second and the last bell. The other thing is, Julius, I just want to ask you. I mean, he weighed in 214 pounds for this fight. Joshua's weighed in between 240 to 250 pounds. I can't see him being that heavy for a Wilder fight because of the stamina issue that we know, and he has to be consistently moving on his feet for the Wilder fight, because he could get caught easily at any point in time. But it would seem that Joshua will have a significant weight advantage over Wilder. Does that play into the tactics anyhow, and is that an advantage for Joshua?
Well, I don't think that Joshua would walk into the Wilder fight heavy. Call me crazy. I mean, look at what they're doing for Parker. They're leaning him out for Parker. He's lighter for this fight than he was for the last fight. I think that they'd be very conscientious of that ahead of a Wilder fight because they know that, there's a chance this thing might go the distance. All that muscle that he's carrying around is going to suck up his oxygen. They know that. So I think that they'd approach the Wilder fight and try to lean Anthony Joshua out, bring him back to the weight that he was, in his first 10 or 15 fights. He was a leaner guy then, and I think that they would do that. I don't think that they're going to try. I don't think they try to out-muscle Wilder. I think they would try to out-hustle him because they know that Joshua's a more polished boxer than he is. At the end of the day, Wilder's the more concussive puncher. You don't want to mix it up with that guy. You want to deter that guy. You want to set traps for that guy. They're going to beat Wilder probably behind the boxing, not the punching power. Wilder's got punching power till next year. They're not going to try to get him that way. They're going to try to out-jab him. They're going to try to out-hustle him. And I think a very important component of being able to out-hustle Wilder is walk into the fight leaner. Don't try to match his power. You don't need to do that. Because look, think about it this way: how hard was it for Gerald Washington to look good against Wilder? He turns right around. He looks like shit against Jarrell Miller. Yeah. The boxing is the avenue that Joshua has to beat Deontay Wilder, not the punching power and not being the sturdier guy, just being able to drag the fight out. You know, like I heard one of you guys say it earlier, slow the fight down. It doesn't have to be a nuclear war from the opening bell.
But I think, Julius, just going back to one of the things you said, I think I agree with you. For me, I've always said, everyone said Joshua walks over him. I've personally said he doesn't. I think it's a tough fight. Personally, I think it is 50-50. I think there's flaws in both fighters that either can capitalize on. I think for me, going into this fight, I think the important thing is actually how Joshua deals with Parker, because Parker's going to be coming into this with fast hands. So we need to see better head movement from Joshua, because if he gets hit more or less at will by Parker, who's got a shorter reach and is shorter opponent than Wilder, probably technically better than him. But again, if Joshua isn't improving on his head movement, I think that's where the problem is for me, because I agree with you. Joshua improves fight after fight. Look at his feet positioning. Look at the way he's throwing the jabs, following up combinations, especially with the left hook now. But for me, I think to beat Wilder, and I'm not saying it's impossible, not at all, but I think he needs to probably have one of his best fights, because if Wilder clips him, I think Wilder's the one guy out there that has the athleticism and energy to finish him if he's able to clip him properly. So, yeah, I think you gave a great assessment there. Hopefully we get to see that fight soon. But, yeah, the question for you, though, why do you think Eddie Hearn would talk about Gerald Miller instead of Wilder in terms of maybe a next opponent for Wilder?
I think that Eddie Hearn knows the boxing environment, and he plays with a lot of these ideas. Yet I think about the things that Eddie Hearn said last year. He said he wanted Anthony Joshua to fight 3 times this year, and by the end of the year, he wanted him to have unified all the titles. So I look at it as very conceivable, depending on how hard this fight is, that he might go to Miller, and then right after that, sometime in the fall, before the year's about to be over, they square off against Wilder. I don't see a deviation from anything that they said in the past. You understand? I don't think that Eddie Hearn is necessarily navigating Anthony Joshua away. You got to realize, a lot of people thought that, Anthony Joshua was ducking Wilder by pursuing a rematch with Klitschko. Like, nah, bro, he got to fight that guy. They got a contract. This guy has a rematch clause. He can't just decide to go somewhere else. You understand? He's got to make sure that that's situated first. After that, the IBF gave him an order. When Klitschko decided to retire, the IBF steps in. They say, well, okay, you're not fighting him. You got to fight your mandatory now. Obviously, the guy don't want to get stripped. Now he's involved in a unification fight. Yet to a lot of people, if you tell them this shit, they're going to say, nah, he's ducking him. Like, nah, he's not ducking him, man. He's got to do what he's got to do to hold on to those titles.
I'm glad, Julius, we're talking about this quickly, but I would say, listen, when it comes to mandatories, it's very simple. Step aside money. Wilder did that for Luis Ortiz the first time around against Deverne. I think the Klitschko rematch, I'm not even referring to that. For me, I think what annoyed me a little bit was after the Takam fight, he was calling out Fury, and Fury's an inactive fighter. He's miles away from really being fit to compete and bring the best Fury that we saw against Klitschko.
That's true.
And I'm like, why are you calling him out? But I definitely think, you know what?
Well,
I was harsh, but he's not ducking.
Let's not act like Tyson Fury wasn't adding to that equation. Tyson Fury was the one that was talking all the shit. To me, all that shit between him and Fury at that point in the juncture, that was just banter. That's just shit talking. They know that Fury's a ways away from actually climbing back into the ring. They know that. Even when they was talking all that shit, they knew this dude's not going to fight next month. Yeah. He ain't going to fight the month after that. We haven't seen him back in the ring yet. They know it's just shit talking. He wasn't calling Fury out like, you're the next guy I'm going to fight. They have a good idea. They have all this shit mapped out. And Deontay Wilder is very much a part of those plans.
So let's hope to see
that a lot of people don't want to accept it. No, go ahead.
No, sorry, go on. Carry on.
Oh, well, the issue is that a lot of people want that fight sooner than later. But if you want to see an undisputed champion, it has to happen a certain way. Why pay Carlos Takam to step aside when you can? Not that they could have, because the IBF said no exceptions, no unifications. They made that very clear. If you don't satisfy this mandatory, you're going to lose that belt. But even if paying Carlos Takam to step aside was an option, why pay him to step aside when you can beat him?
And the thing with the Gerald Miller
fight, it's going to cost you more money to pay this guy to step aside. But why do that when you can beat him?
It's because you're talking about unification. So I think if you really want to unify, then you just go out there and do it, and then you can fight all these next type of mandatories. I don't think you can say
he is doing it now, isn't he? And the thing with the Jarrell Miller fight as well, you got to remember is that Hearn wants to build Joshua's profile over there. Whatever we say, they should make the fight happen now. That's going to be a terribly difficult fight to negotiate between Joshua and Wilder. Like, they're both very powerful promoters. It's going to be very tricky to negotiate, especially if it's in America for Joshua to get the best deal.
Okay.
So if he goes over there and fights Miller, his name's you got to remember Joshua's a big name in the US, but nothing like how we feel over here. So if he goes there and beats Jarrell Miller as we would expect him to.
I mean, let's ask Julius about the profiles. Julius, who has the bigger profile in America between Wilder and Joshua? Is Joshua known? Is Wilder a well-known celebrity? I mean, Joshua in the UK is like a massive celebrity. He transcends the sport of boxing. Can you say the same? Is that the same thing for Wilder?
Wilder has not reached. No, he's not. Seriously, no. You walking down the street anywhere in America, you ask Joe Schmo, do you know who Deontay Wilder is? They're not going to know him. I'm going to say that with that knockout of Stavern, that last knockout in that rematch, that helped him because that actually went viral. Wilder's knocked out a number of guys, but it never really went viral. Yeah. That was the one knockout that he had that reached the pop culture level. That now people that don't even watch boxing seen that shit. Yep. You understand? And that's the audience that you want to hit. Those are the guys that you're trying to appeal to, not the boxing fans, because the boxing community here is a smaller community than it is in the UK. Everybody, a lot of people watch boxing in the UK, whereas here it's not what it was.
And the other thing I would say
You've got to appeal to that demographic.
Yeah, and Julius, sorry to cut you out. Just quickly say, when people talk about money, they talk about popularity. He's got a belt. When did those things become more important than a belt?
But boxing is a business as well.
No. When did it become more important than a belt?
But it's always been a business, hasn't it? It's never just...
No. Come on. You know.
Wilder featuring on TV shows and stuff. Like, it's all a business.
Let's just go one-on-one.
Question.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to address that question. They want Wilder's belt. I mean, I don't have any doubts in my mind about that. They want his belt. The thing is that Wilder created an environment where this is absolutely fucking ridiculous. We're not going to give you that. Aaron Pryor painted himself into that same corner with Sugar Ray Leonard. You gotta be real with yourself. You're not worth that kind of money, and nobody's going to pay you that. You coming to the A-side guy. This guy's filling out stadiums, okay? You're just now starting to touch your target market. Whereas this guy's selling out fucking stadiums. 10 million fucking Germans watch that Klitschko fight. There's levels to this shit. Now, I'm not saying that that's the precedence for them to not fight. I'm saying that Wilder created an environment by asking for half where that is non-negotiable.
Totally.
Aaron Pryor did that shit to himself way back when.
But this is the last point. You got to remember negotiations as well. So don't forget Parker. How did Parker start off? And in the end, he got 65-35. So I'm just saying, let's kind of stop the whole.
That's true. But do remember that Parker made concessions. They asked for 40. They said, hell fucking no, you're not getting 40.
And they asked for
35. Hell no, you're not getting fucking 35.
No, he's getting 35%.
Wilder's got to do that.
No, but Parker's getting 30%
no, he's not.
for
He's
this
getting
fight.
Between 35 and 30. He's getting between 35 and 30. That's all Wilder's got to do. Come back down to earth, bro.
And I think he will. I mean, to be honest, let's look at it like this. In terms of the negotiations, I think Wilder said, look, I'll accept 30% if you do the same in a rematch. Obviously, he's confident he's going to win. That makes it 50-50 over the long run. But I think initially, you can't tell me that Parker is more attractive financially, popularity, or belt-wise as to why you would take the Parker fight first.
But it's not a 50-50 fight, is it? I mean,
What's not a 50-50?
Wilder...
It's not.
It's not 50-50. So, Parker may be getting 32% or whatever, but, Wilder, how much... if Joshua is well over 50%, that's guaranteed. Look, we just seen Wilder just did 1.2 million views on free-to-air TV.
Yep.
Yeah, so that, they're
raving
about 1.2
million. It doesn't mean anything.
He had less seats in that building than Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia.
It doesn't mean anything.
Kell Brook fighting Rabchenko had more
we
people.
We can't sit here.
Focus on TV.
And act like there's not we can't sit here and act like there's not a historical precedent.
We're out of time.
Asking, you go up to this guy. This guy made what, somewhere between 10 million and 15 million fighting Carlos fucking Scam, a guy who the American audience has no fucking idea who he is. He made $15 million fighting that fucking guy.
Exactly.
Wilder just made $2.1 million
Right.
in a high-profile fight. That was a high-profile fight in the States.
Yep.
Denzel Washington was at the fucking fight. Papoose was at the fight. Little Kim brought him out. It was a high-profile fight. But what you made was still significantly less than this guy. You cannot ask him for half and expect to get
So what
the
you're
fight.
saying, the risk
That's the whole
doesn't
thing.
match the
you gotta
rewards.
be realistic.
So your
I'd
risk.
say a reasonable percentage for Wilder to get. Maybe now he can finagle 35%, but 50% before all of this.
We
no,
all know
that's
50% is
You gotta-
ridiculous. We know that's ridiculous. But I think we've also moved on from that. I will say by giving Parker 35%, you're leaving yourself with less room to negotiate, because at the end of the day, there's no way Wilder will come in for less than that. Right? But my bottom line is I think we have to get away from us as boxing fans talking about who earns what, who's fought who, all this stuff. It's all irrelevant because
Well,
he's
it's not,
fighting
but
Parker.
That's what makes the fight happen, isn't it?
No,
So-
because why is he fighting Parker? You got to come on. Let's be real. At least last point in that, he's fighting Parker, and all of those questions are linked to Parker
and that
as well.
fight wouldn't have happened without the money, would it? I mean,
He's dropped off. All right, and I wanted to ask him about the Canelo. All right, let's quickly go to the lines before we go out. 985. Daniel, I see you there, holding on patiently. The first one. Hello.
The line's cut off, man. I think that was the Skype noise I heard.
Jeez.
Guys, just hold on to
Just
live
hold
for a
the line.
second. We're just coming through to you guys any second.
Thank you for calling Call-In Studios host and call screener line. And
Yeah, so just to follow up on that point, look, Coach, completely agree. As boxing fans, it's irrelevant to us.
Exactly.
It's irrelevant, I agree, but
No
it's
buts.
That was an
Coach,
invalid
it's the
pin for
reality
Rap.
of the
But yeah,
ground,
you gotta
man.
deal with
Come
the
on,
reality.
reality.
mate.
You got to deal
I'm
with that.
sorry,
Because
that
you've
is
got to
not a
say-
valid
that's what's
pin number
happening,
for Raps
though.
on TV.
Yeah,
That's
because
the
but
fact.
then what I'm saying is, but
It's
then you
irrelevant
can't
to us.
you can't complain when people say you're ducking. Then that's what I'm trying to say.
But
Because he's saying you shouldn't be. People are
every-
saying
he's
that.
not
I'm not
ducking.
saying it's a duck, but what I'm saying to you is this: if people are saying you're ducking because you're not doing X, Y, Z, well, you can't complain either, right?
But look, man, this is
Because Mayweather with
this is
Pacquiao,
not-
didn't they say Mayweather was ducking?
I know, but it's their careers. At the end of the day, it's a job. You know, they're not just there for our entertainment. It's a job.
Look, I'm not doubting
That's
that.
never
I'm
going to
not doubting
change.
that.
That's never going to change. So it's always
But
going
I'm
to be
just saying,
relevant.
I
you
don't
know.
want to
For
talk
calling
about
Call-In
popularities of a
Studios
guy. I'll give you an
and call
example.
screener
Everyone
line.
said,
Enter your
and I'm sure
6-digit
even you
PIN
said it.
number.
Oh, you should fight Dillian White for $5 million. Wilder's like, I'm not about the money. I'm about my legacy. I think he's proven that in this fight. No.
I agree with that. I agree with Kodji's point on that because initially, because people might just think money might not be everything.
Money.
Yeah? Money might not be everything because that's right. He's now, to be honest,
That was an
it is a
invalid pin
commercial
for Raps.
decision as well.
On
because
TV,
taking
please
the
re-enter.
Ortiz fight, but taking the Ortiz fight is far more of a legacy-defining fight.
Of course.
No one can say he's got
Thank you for
no
calling
stronger
Call-In
position
Studio.
on his resume anymore, right? And it also
Welcome,
puts him in
host.
a stronger position.
You are now in the host
leading up to
room
the
and can
AJ
manage your
negotiations.
callers from the Call-In
Yeah.
Studio
Yeah, I agree.
web interface.
You can't discard money because it's always going to be relevant in making any fight in boxing. That's
Yeah.
just, you know,
But look,
it
there's
may not be
there's
ideal.
no-
It's not a
the
utopian
delay. You
view
got
to
to
have.
argue the delay for making a fight actually reduces the money. You know why? Because
No, of course it
they
doesn't.
could
Look
only
at
what if they only
Mayweather,
have one.
Pacquiao. Look
Yeah,
at
but they
me.
had one fight. If they had made that fight earlier, they would have had three.
Listen, Koji, you got
Exactly.
to look at the reality, man. If
No,
that was the way to
exactly.
go, they're in there. All those promoters are in there to make the most money possible. So the way that they're doing it is going to be the way that makes the most money.
I
You
doubt
don't think
it.
the
I
longer
don't
that the
think so.
AJ Wilder fight
No.
plays out, the more money it's
No.
going to be worth.
Same with Canelo Triple G. Everyone
You
was
think-
like, "Oh, Canelo
Yeah,
Triple."
but this is different. Come on, if you think if
not.
Joshua fights Wilder now, it'll be worth more than if they fight in a year's time
I
and
think
they're
so.
both undefeated.
Honestly, I would
No
say
way.
it. Do you know why?
No way.
Because
Come on.
everyone will
No
watch
way.
that fight and everyone will go back for the second because there will be a trilogy.
No, the first fight will not be worth so much money.
I don't
I'm sorry,
think
it
so.
just
I
won't.
think-
it
I
wouldn't.
think-
Okay,
It
put it
wouldn't.
this way,
I
whatever the
promise you, it wouldn't.
okay, so
It wouldn't.
you're talking percentages. I mean,
I'm
nobody
talking
can
money
say
earned from
no,
the
no,
fight.
nobody can say for this for certain. But what we can say is that fight will be much bigger than AJ or Wilder have ever earned.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Yeah, but that's
Even now
they can still earn more.
Even
and it
now,
could be a
even now.
career-ending
Hold on,
fight.
let me- so
Even
if I-
now,
let me-
Julius is on the line. So let's.
Yeah, so if I just finish one point, I would agree with Tom on this, man, because this is a mega fight, man. It's
only
going to
get bigger.
Super
No.
fight.
Yeah.
There's no question, yeah? Super fight, yeah?
Okay.
Super fight. I'm going to use that term that Golden Boy Oscar De La Hoya loves to use, marinate. Yeah. We're
That's
gonna let
what's
this
happening
marinate.
right now.
It's happening. It's marinated. Look, we're talking about it, man.
The fight is ready.
buzzing.
Okay, so
It's
would you
marinating,
say, if I said to you that fight should be made this summer, would you say it's not ready?
I think it's right. Yeah, some I think
So what's
it's
the
perfect.
problem?
I
That's
think
the
it's
next
problem.
fight.
I think so.
So what's
Because
different
we're
to what
the
I'm
fans
saying?
and they're the fighters.
But so what you saying it should happen next year?
No.
Listen, it's not a utopian
It's a
world.
summer
We
fight.
want the
Of course
fight
it's
to
not
happen. We
utopian.
want the fight to
No,
happen.
no, I'm saying
But
what you're
they've
saying,
got, they're
though.
doing, but it is a business, whether
Right.
we want to think it is or not. And the longer
know
it's
it's a
played
business.
out, it will be worth more money.
Okay, but my point is,
You
then
may
the longer
disagree,
it plays
but
out,
it
you
will
can't.
be.
Okay, even if you say that is correct and you're right, then I'm saying don't say the guys that call him a ducker are wrong. Because if somebody says, I think that fight is ready to be made now, which perfectly, let's be honest, it is, and it's really the only heavyweight fight that should take
I
place
agree with-
next.
He's fighting.
If
for
he says I'm going to
unification.
I
fight
agree with
next
you on that. I do agree
next
with you on
year,
that.
and people call him a ducker, sorry Julius, 1 minute, I'll let you go.
People make it in
You
the
can't say
summer.
that. So again, Julius.
No, I mean, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that it is feasible to make this fight in the summer. It doesn't have to wait until the end of the year because both, this is the thing. Both of these guys' schedules are finally clear. You understand? Mandatories have been satisfied. There's a unification fight that's about to go down. But after that, Joshua's schedule is clear. So it is feasible to make a Wilder fight in the summer. That I agree with. What I don't agree with is saying that, the guys that call him a ducker, that those guys aren't wrong. No, they are wrong because they were calling him a ducker when he was waiting for Klitschko to make up his mind. And then after that, when he had to satisfy Pulev, which later turned into Carlos Takam, they were calling him a ducker then, even though he didn't have a choice. If he wanted to keep that belt, he had to do what they said.
Agreed.
It's only now that this guy's schedule is starting to clear up. The guy had a full plate. All of these different things had to happen. Now, if he beats Parker, he gets that guy out of the way, then his schedule is clear. Then you say, okay, now you can fight Wilder. You can fight him now. You can fight him in the summer. You ain't got no mandatories lined up. So you can fight him in the summer. Unless the WBA decides to order him to fight Manuel Charr, which I doubt. I don't see that happening right away.
Yeah. I mean,
But other than that, yeah.
So it's good business to fight Manuel Charr, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm being sarcastic.
I don't think so.
Listen,
But
Julius, I just
you
want
got to
to-
remember
Yeah.
that falls on Gilberto Mendoza, and I don't think that Gilberto Mendoza is in any kind of hurry to order Anthony Joshua to do anything. Because remember, he wasn't in a hurry to make him fight Ortiz.
Yeah.
When Ortiz was at number one, he wasn't in a hurry to make that fight. He wasn't knocking, he wasn't beating
point.
down Joshua's door. Hey, you got a mandatory over here. You got to
Exactly.
satisfy. They knew that it
Bad
wasn't
business.
their turn in the rotation. It was the IBF's turn in the rotation. So they took a back seat to the IBF. But what I'm saying now is if Joshua beats Parker, he gets that guy out of the way, yeah, it's feasible to fight Wilder sometime in the summer. It's just that it wasn't always feasible for him to fight him. It wasn't. That's just the truth.
Yeah. I mean, look.
You got a rematch clause with Vlad. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, 100%. I mean, I have to say, after he fought Vladimir the first time, I don't really remember many people saying he should fight Wilder. But maybe over in the States, that would have been the case. But over in the UK, most people would say, the rematch, although it's not necessary, they could accept that.
They
I think even the
before this
Pulev.
Parker fight, though, they were calling him a
I'm saying
ducker
after
this-
Klitschko.
No, I'm saying, but they were this time. But it's still
Yeah,
not,
after Takam.
Can you say that Joshua's ducking Wilder if he's still taking on a unification fight?
No, what I'm saying to you is, I think if he's calling out Fury instead of Wilder,
Yeah, but
then I think
I
he's
think that was a
avoiding
bit of
him.
a banter. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you're gonna
Nah,
agree.
it wasn't banter.
Come
The
on.
British public
And-
love
hold on,
Tyson
hold on,
Fury.
hold on.
Right, let's talk
Tyson
about Canelo.
Fury makes-
Julius, because we've got a lot of time. Julius, what's your thoughts on the Canelo drug scandal?
Well, I first heard the news, and I didn't want to talk about it right away. I didn't want to take a stance right away because it's in the heat of the moment. So when you read about what clenbuterol is, what it does, what is the added benefit of using this particular drug, and then you apply that to Canelo's trajectory in 2016 and 2017,
Yep.
you see how he might have used that.
Yeah.
Clenbuterol is a drug that allows you to burn fat and bulk up muscle at the same time. We know that Canelo Alvarez went up to 164, then came back down to 160. Surely you can see how clenbuterol might provide some assistance in that situation.
And
you don't
improving
want to
the
lose
stamina.
muscle, but you got to burn fat. Exactly. And we know Canelo's notorious for having a sketchy gas tank,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. So I'm not quick to rush to his defense. I'm thinking enough people know about the contaminated meat in Mexico that a fucking professional athlete should know better than to eat that shit. Louis Nery just got popped a couple of months ago. You telling me you didn't hear about that? The Mexican national soccer team.
Exactly, the Mexican national soccer team. Exactly. 2011.
Five guys.
There's a Mexican doctor somewhere giving out dodgy meat, I think.
No, I totally agree with you, Julius. And the other thing I would say, like, I would ask anybody that's listening, go onto Google and type in Mexican Clebuntomol scandal, meat contamination, and there's no news articles around that. The first link that you always find, and I'm talking about the first 2 pages, all linked to either Canelo, the Mexican football team, and there was another country that got caught with this issue. So yeah, I think for
China,
me,
I think it was China.
Yeah, China, Guangdong,
this is used. Clebutyrol's used in athletics all the time. Like athletes,
but it's banned by IOC.
No, of course, but it's it's obviously a performance-enhancing drug because it's widely used, and athletes are pot for it all the time.
Yeah,
from all countries. The Jamaican team were caught using clenbuterol.
Yeah, so that's my point. I think for Canelo, this is very bad for him because I think if he wins this fight and he stops Golovkin, I'm going to have serious question marks about his ability.
Why do Mexicans want athletic cows?
Exactly. I agree with that.
So listen, Julius, we're going to go to a couple of other callers. It's been great having you on the show. I was going to say, listen, make sure you call in some more. Let's get you back on the show. Had some great inputs and points. Definitely enjoyed going back and forth with you on that.
Yeah, Julius, thank you so much, man.
No problem.
Your time, man. And we'll be putting the show out tomorrow, so if you can share it amongst your group and your peers, that'd be most appreciated, man. And we'll be having you on that show more often if you would like.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Julius.
Take care. So 348. I think this is Tom Lyons. Hello.
How you doing, guys? You right?
I'm good. We're good. I was hoping it was Paul Otai.
Yeah, it's Tom.
How you doing, mate? Good, mate. What's on your minds?
Yeah, it's Paul. Yeah, it was good listening to that discussion you were having with Julius. In terms of the Ortiz-Wilder fight, I think the sort of patience that Wilder showed to set up traps for Ortiz as he went down the stretch sort of got to Ortiz a bit, and he was gassing towards the later rounds. But I just think the first sort of 4 to 6 rounds was fairly comfortable pace for Ortiz, to get behind his boxing skills, get behind his jab, a bit of movement, not too much because he's not like the 38-year-old that everyone perceives him to be. He's definitely about 70, but yeah. And then obviously like Wilder, just the footwork was sort of detriment to him having success early on because it was getting all tangled, getting a bit messy on the inside. And Wilder's not really, his strengths don't lie on the inside. He's got that one-punch power that can sort of change the dynamics of a fight. Mm-hmm. And Ortiz kind of boxed him at his own pace and comfort for the first few rounds until obviously catching Wilder, hurting him bad, and then obviously getting caught himself and just tiring out really sort of led to the turning of the fight.
Agree. In terms of Brook, obviously that was a UK performance. What did you make of his return, and what do you think he can do at 154?
Yeah, I think it was a good performance. Obviously, the opponent wasn't, and looking back on it, obviously the opponent was an amazing and wasn't an amazing name, and a standout marquee fight at 154. But he was never going to go into a massive fight at 154 in his comeback, just to sort of shake off the ring rust and the 2 hard fights he had previously.
It was a confidence building fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Eddie Hearn, he sold the story, didn't he, of Rabchenko. He went, he's tough. He won't be able to trouble him early. He's so rugged, second round.
Eddie Hearn, typical Eddie Hearn.
He done a good job, though, because everyone was watching, weren't they? Everyone was questioning.
Fast Eddie.
So you're
good. Yeah, it was just a simple sort of right uppercut, left hook that finished him off that he'd been, working on in the changing room. But yeah, Rabchenko didn't really have much to bring to the table apart from him being built up so much in the build-up, saying, he was tough, like you just said. But yeah, just very limited. In terms of his making his mark on the division, I think with obviously Carlo, Lara, Hurd being the champions, I don't know if I think the only route he could have the best shot at a world title would be Saddam Ali, and obviously he's probably tied up with Liam Smith when that fight gets announced. I think Ali would beat Smith, just purely outbox him, and then maybe maybe provides, an avenue for Brook to go down. Or if that Charlo fight with WBC comes up, they'll probably get him over to the UK with the money that will be generated by the fight. Because Charlo's obviously not a massive name over here. Like, he's not that well known. I think it wouldn't be too difficult.
That'd be a pay-per-view fight over here, wouldn't it? I think Kell Brook against Charlo. I think that'd be pay-per-view.
100%.
Yeah.
That happens here, no doubt. Eddie Hearn wouldn't let that go for free.
All right, Thomas, we're going to go to the next line, mate.
So listen, yeah, Tom, thank you very much. Appreciate your call and support. Yeah. Cheers.
No worries, top man.
Cheers. 251, the floor is yours.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Yes, man, like D below the belt. How you doing, bro?
Yes, D.
Yeah, not too bad. How you doing, bro? You good?
Good,
We have
man.
a feisty one in the studio tonight.
D, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Wilder, or I was going to ask you a question about Kell Brook at 154 pounds. Is he a serious contender at 154 pounds?
Kell Brook in the UFC, did you say?
Yeah, I'm saying
154.
At 154 pounds. Is Kell Brook a serious contender at 154 pounds?
It'd be a bad look for him, man. He'd get destroyed. That orbital injury would just be opened up very quickly.
So, what about Wilder Ortiz? I mean, we didn't get a chance to get your prediction beforehand. I mean, who did you predict to win, and what did you think of the fight?
I thought Wilder would win, but I thought people shouldn't write off Ortiz. So it kind of went, I guess, how I kind of thought it would go. Ortiz done really well, like his footwork, the way how he kept himself on the outside, working the southpaw stance well. Nearly had Wilder out there, and something that some people ain't touched on is, when the ref just stopped it and let the doctor look at Wilder and there was no cut. I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, he
had
a long time to recover.
Yeah, so guys, I think remember this, don't forget in New York. At the start of a round when the fighter's been concussed previously, the ref does do the eye check. So, yeah, it's standard procedure. Look at the Badou Jack James DeGale fight. You'll see it numerous times throughout the fight.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few people were saying that, but it's common.
Was that after a knockdown or
just at the start of any round? The doctor, and I think it's
what is that after a knockdown?
After either a knockdown or it's like somebody that's taken a lot of shots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll take note of that. I didn't know that.
No, but a lot of people didn't know that. But
no, cool, man. I'll take note of that still. But yeah, he won the fight. I just find it amazing that Wilder actually wins fights with his crazy style, to be honest with you. But he does it when he gets the job done, so you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
He's like a Big Junior in that sense, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, with the power.
Yeah, it's like he's not relying on his boxing skills, but he's getting the job done, man. So yeah, we need to see the AJ fight for sure.
So in your mind, just on that, do you think that fight needs to happen next? Do you think Wilder could fight Povetkin or somebody like that next? Do you think he should go straight?
I think it can happen next, but I think Sky Sports definitely want it because they're clearly building Wilder's profile.
Yeah.
And Eddie Hearn, as the head of Matchroom, he has to provide Sky Sports with what they want. And they've made a massive effort to build his profile. Because if you think about it, if they didn't want the fight, they would have just left it to Box Nation, just keep discrediting him. But they're clearly making the effort to build him. They've also invited him to come. They're inviting him to come ringside.
They did their own little documentary.
They definitely want the fight.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's inevitable the fight will happen. I think you wouldn't see that kind of movement if Sky Sports didn't want it. And Eddie has to provide Sky Sports with what they want, ultimately.
Yeah,
they're like his big customer. So
he has to
I think the fight will happen.
Yeah, he has to provide them with X many pay-per-view fights in a year.
Yeah, yes.
As part of his contract.
Exactly.
Where he gets exclusivity, but he has to provide X amount of pay-per-view, like proper pay-per-view fights. The Wilder fight is clearly pay-per-view. Yeah. He will take that fight, whether he happens in the summer.
No, I'd like to see.
But I think the difference is AJ, whenever he fights, is pay-per-view. So as much as I agree with what you're saying, I don't think it means it has to be Wilder. I think it could be AJ Dillian White is pay-per-view.
Listen, the other thing I reckon what it could be is, right, AJ's contract's going to be running out.
That's the other
soon,
thing, yeah.
Right, that's going to be a big money fight for him, right? So he's going to be thinking like, listen, it's like when a top-notch Premier League footballer comes out of his contract.
I think it's a bidding war, but I think if you're Joshua, unless you go to Heyman, are you really going to leave Frank Hearn and go to Frank Warren or Hennessy or MTK.
Nah, I can't see him doing
I don't
Sky's
see him
the
doing
place
that.
for
This is
Joshua.
what I mean. Yeah,
Sky's
it's
the place
also-
for Joshua.
You got to think. I think they learned a big lesson with the O'Coley promotion, and I think as much as they done a good job hyping it, I think they realised promotion is not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? I think they realised it's a well-oiled machine. So I think I was thinking he might leave, but I think he's going to stay with them.
It's like the Premier League going to a broadcaster there isn't Sky. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's still early in his career, so there's no need for him to really rush that move. He can eventually make that move, but I don't think he needs to rush that.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Wilder jump in the ring after the Parker fight. That's what I'd like.
He's got to be in the ring.
yeah.
I think this is where I find
Unless they block him.
No, they've staged it. I think they've 100% staged it for him to go in afterwards. I have no doubt they're not going to let him go in after because he's commentating.
They're not going to let him.
No, I think they will. Sorry, I think I have no doubt they will let him in the ring. I can't see
I hope
that.
so.
I think
Remember,
they will. I think they will.
At the Klitschko fight, they had him like far away from the ring, innit, with Johnny Nelson and Tony Bellew. So I hope this time they have him like right up near the ring, or even if Wilder just uses his initiative and just says, you know what, I'm getting in that ring, innit, because that would force the fight on a public demand level. If people see him jump in that ring. Anyone that don't know about him, that knows about AJ, they're going to see this guy jumping in the ring and be like, hold up, who's this guy?
And I definitely think he's known now.
Is this a UK fight or a US fight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. D, we're going to move to the next caller. Sorry, mate, we're running out of time. So listen, appreciate the support. And yeah, call in next week and we've got to talk about getting you in.
Speak to you soon.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Right,
Respect, man.
Appreciate that, bro. Cheers, thank you.
Alright, safe, man. Kojo, and I'm done, though.
Respect. 860, the floor's yours. Sorry. Drive.
Hello, lads. Paul.
How you doing, Mr. Paul?
How you doing,
Paul?
Paul?
How's it going?
We're going well, man. Give us some grief, mate.
Hey, I agree with quite a lot that was said, that in regards to Wilder should be taking a smaller percentage. I know you don't agree with that, Kojo, but
oh no, I do.
In terms of what the thing is, what Wilder needs to not focus on is the percentage. He needs to focus on the amount, because he thinks that he should end 50-50, but even 35% against AJ could be 3-4 times what he's ever earned in his career.
Way more.
So,
there's no time I've ever said Wilder deserves 50-50 of that paycheck. I think he has to have a look at it a percentage, because you can't chuck a number out and say hold that and that's going to be suitable. But for me, I think it should be full. I initially said 35% until he gave that to Parker.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 40%.
35 is about fair.
Yeah, I would have said so. And that's the figure I said. But I think you can't give Parker 35 and Wilder 35.
Yeah, but as Parker fought, Wilder only just fighting Ortiz has now put a better name on his resume than Parker did. Up until then, they'd probably fought. In fact, most of the ones that Wilder beat, Parker beat.
Really? Like Huey Fury?
No, he beat Huey Fury in the end. I didn't think he beat Huey Fury in the end.
That's my point.
But look at the other fighters that Wilder's fought though. Parker to beat all them.
I don't even know. I don't think Parker would have beat Ortiz on Saturday night. I would have put money on.
No,
Ortiz.
not Ortiz. Up until Ortiz, because I thought Ortiz was going to win the fight. Up until Ortiz, I think Parker, with the win over Fury, had the better resume.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And
before that fight,
no, I'd agree with that. No, because Parker,
and he had the win over Takam
and Ruiz.
He got the win over Takam as well.
And
Miller,
Ruiz,
Stiverne, Spilka, a Povetkin that drug tested. I mean, come on, let's not talk about.
Come on, that's not
going
win.
over.
He never fought Povetkin.
That's my point, because he took drugs. But if he did fight him, he would have beat him.
But look, it's a redundant point, isn't it? He's got his 40s
we don't know
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's draw a line. Let's move on.
Let's talk about this. I mean, let's not talk about CVs when guys fight each other, man. I think.
Paul, Canelo, what do you think?
Ah, dear.
Hey, what do you think, Paul? What do you think? Do you think it won fairly? Do you think that draw was fair now?
Now focus on the drug tests.
Even in his innocence, even if he is innocent and it is a contamination of meat, he is still guilty.
Yeah.
Because when you have the money that he has, you should be farming your own fucking meat. You should have your own cattle farm. You should be killing your own cows for it.
Well, I don't know about that.
And then you know for a fact that meat's not going to be contaminated because you are farming it yourself.
How do you think they make their Michelin steaks so tender?
I was going to say. I mean, to be fair, though, I think you make a very good point there. For me, I think this tarnishes whatever he does in this rematch now. Forget the draw and we know Adelaide Bird and blah, blah, blah. But I think it really tarnishes whatever he does in this rematch now because all the Golovkin fans are going to say, well, he was juiced up. Even if he's not juiced up from now until the fight, there was a period where he was. And we all said he needs to improve on his stamina, or most of us said he needs to improve on his stamina to get the fight. If he's done that with an enhanced drugs, then, yeah, I don't know. I think
if he wins, if Canelo wins, then they're going to say he's won because he was juiced up.
Yeah.
And if Canelo loses, they're going to say he lost because he stopped taking the drugs. So he's in a no-win situation here. It's a lose-lose.
I mean, Canelo is the spoiled brat of boxing, isn't he?
Yeah,
That's
100%.
how I see it. He is the spoiled brat of boxing, you know. But the boxing consistency goes out the window, you know. Other people like Eric Morales, from what I've read, he was suspended for 2 years, and you know.
And Paul, listen, we're going to move on to the next caller because we ain't got a lot of time.
Just one thing, though. Just one thing.
Yep.
I've got to say, Jamie McDonnell, how does he make bantamweight when he has balls that must weigh about 200 pounds? Because he has got some nuts, man.
Yeah.
Why are you checking out his nuts?
Well, yeah, have a good evening.
Answer the question, Paul.
Ask the question.
Why winding you up?
What?
No, we're winding you up now, but appreciate all the support, Paul.
Because he must have some massive nuts to go over to America to fight Kameda twice, and then he going over to Japan to fight Inoue, who nobody else wants to fight.
Well, how big are they, Paul?
Yeah, how big are they?
So, Paul, don't worry. We're going to put you on mute.
Well, he's probably got...
there you go. We almost got the answer.
Yeah.
I think I see the man. He hasn't called through
balloons.
quickly. Okay, 998. I think that's Angelo.
Yeah, it's Mike.
How you doing, Mike? Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Sorry, I haven't been about. I've just been so bloody ill, you know, with this bug and virus.
Everyone's got it, Mike. Mike, we're on drive-by.
Oh, nice.
What's your point?
Horrible. Well, you know, just sort of talking about the Wilder fight. Just the Wilder fight very quickly, but I want to move on to something more because I mean, you know, Wilder. I mean, you know, I'll sum him up in 2 words, and that's awkwardly effective, you know. I mean, he said something stupid before he fought Ortiz that he surpassed Muhammad Ali, and I think that's really a silly thing for him to say because he's got a long way to go till he lives up to that. I mean, you know, as they say, don't believe the hype. I'd love to see him fight Joshua. I think that fight will definitely happen. The fight after Parker, it's got to happen. The sooner the better. I mean, you know, money talks. We know that in this game, and it's not called the Richards Prize for nothing, you know, but the heavyweight championship. So that's definitely going to happen. But quickly, just moving on. I mean, he did well. He had a few shaky moments against Ortiz, but you know, you got to give him props. He beat the guy fair and square, and you know, now they talk about a rematch. I don't understand that, but you know, maybe it has got a, you know, I mean, he did well. Ortiz, he can come again, but I think he needs to get back in line. I mean, you know, but no, just moving on to the light heavyweight division. I mean, Dimitri Bivol, you know, terrific performance. I didn't see the fight, sadly. I thought that Sky were going to repeat it the following day, which they didn't. But I saw the finish, and you know, clinical. You know, I think he's the best light heavyweight in the world, and I think if he fights Kovalev, he will be too fresh for Kovalev. You know, this is the next all-time great light heavyweight. But let's go to domestic level now. We're talking about Anthony Yard. We're talking about Joshua Buatsi. Now, they're talking about this fight happening. I think last time I mentioned, him as well, but I don't think he's quite the world-class fighter they make him out to be.
No, he's definitely not.
Buglioni. But the thing is, sorry?
No, we agree with you on that.
No. Yeah. I don't think he's as good as they make him out to be. You know, again, don't believe the hype. But the thing is, with Yard and Buatsi, you've got to let it build. Now, this is a very similar scenario, Buatsi versus Yard, to something that I experienced myself back in the 87 to 89 when Nigel Benn was coming up the rankings. He was the archetypal puncher, and you had Michael Watson. Now, Ben he was on ITV. He was with the Warrenfold, and he was getting all the publicity, whereas Watson rather was going under the radar. Many of these fights weren't even televised. What was televised, you saw very little of him. But he was like, a lot of his Ben was the media darling, so to speak. And when it all came to fruition, the fight, Ben got a boxing lesson, and Watson rope-a-doped him and won the fight. And this is something that people are all jumping on the bandwagon of this Anthony Yarde. Now, I've yet to see Anthony Yarde fight, but I know he's a big puncher and he's a body beautiful. But don't forget Joshua Buatsi. But there's another guy coming up the rankings, and he's only had 3 pro fights, and he's under the A-Maker promotions, A-Maker banner, sorry. And that's a guy called Willie Hutchinson.
Okay, yeah.
You seen him?
Yeah, we know him,
Super
yeah.
middleweight, though, no?
No, he's light heavy.
No, he's light heavy. He boxed cruiserweight.
No, I think
last time, but he's light heavy.
No, I interviewed him. He's super middleweight. Yeah, he's super middleweight.
Yeah, he's 100%
Super middle light heavy. He did box light heavy. I'm sure he did in his pro debut. Then he had one in France, and then the last one against I can't think of the guy's name. Bozonko, I think his name was. That was at the All Call, and that was a cruiserweight. But he gave a chunk of weight away to that guy. But he's only 19.
He's a very good fighter.
He's only.
He's a 19-year-old kid. Amateur championships, I believe.
Yeah,
that's right. He did indeed. He's got a great work rate, and he's a little bit leaky last time. He took a few shots he shouldn't have done. Call it youthful exuberance, if you like. But he's definitely, he's definitely one to watch. And he's going to be in the mix in time. So, but what are your thoughts on this guy?
Sorry, Mike. We're going to move on because we've got another caller. So apologies for that. But yeah, we know who he is, and we'll speak about him next time. Appreciate the call.
No problem.
Cheers, thanks. Last caller, 269.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Yes, Jason. What's going on?
Yeah, Boston Strangler here. I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Good.
Jason, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. I just got couple of words to say, really. Bomb Squad!
What's going on?
No, I love the Wilder fight, man. Seriously, I mean, I thought he was going to lose it, like in the middle of the fight, but he really done well, honestly. That's all I had to say, really. You guys have covered it all, to be honest.
Perfect. Appreciate the support.
So, yeah, we're going to see when he... I'm sure he's going to get in the ring after, if Joshua wins. And we're going to see him get in the ring and look at Joshua in his face, and we're going to see what's going to happen then, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think with Wilder's talk as well, I think it would just annoy Joshua, basically, get in his head.
Yeah.
Honestly, Joshua won't be able to be. Yeah, I don't think Joshua. He can't just be quiet how he normally is. You know, yeah. So that's all I got to say, really.
That's his debut. No problem, Jason. Appreciate that. So we're gonna move on. Appreciate the call, all the support.
Nice one.
Take it easy, man.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, man. So, guys, that's a quick wrap up. Yeah, he is light heavyweight, and it's not getting to the debate, but yeah, I think let's just leave it at that.
Willie Hutchinson.
Yeah, everybody's
he said to me personally that he's going to be a super middleweight coach.
Okay, but he's fighting at light heavyweight.
A lot of fighters start at heavier weight because they don't get the opponents. They fight journeymen at heavier weight, and then they cut back down when they get to a competitive level.
Some
I'm
do,
telling you,
and a lot don't.
That's what Willie Hutchinson's going to do because he said it to me in the interview.
Okay, and what if he doesn't?
Well, that's what he believes he's going to do personally.
But he's not at the moment, is he?
Listen, I've said all I can say.
That's what I'm saying. No, but I'm saying what I've had to say. Is he fighting at heavyweight?
Might be super middleweight.
Exactly. That's how you got to say it. Exactly. Thank you. You can't always be right, Tom. You got to mature a bit.
You got to grow up, man. What's wrong with you? You've got to stop acting so childish, man.
Yeah. So listen, finish off the show.
Yeah. So guys, Tom. Well, I'm winding you up, mate.
Yeah.
Banter. Yeah, honestly, we always do banter, innit? Shake the hand, man.
Come on, man.
Cheer up, man.
He didn't even shake your hand like a little girl, man. Come on, shake his hand.
You've had that one beer, you got gas, Kojo.
So
exactly. Next time, don't give me a beer.
Yeah, guys, make sure you follow us on Raps on TV on Facebook, on our webpage and YouTube. The show's now available on YouTube as well. Start subscribing and obviously download from iTunes as well.
Perfect, guys. Raps on TV, we out. Willie Hutchison is a light heavyweight. He's fighting at light heavyweight, and he's a light heavyweight. That's what it says on the tin.
And he's not going to go down to super middleweight. Don't care what
he might do. And he might do. He might even go down to. He might go down to bantam.
Bantamweight.
Super feather. Frampton. Scotland versus Northern Ireland. He takes another one.
And he goes